Hello guys. So welcome to Learn from Chess Blitz, a live stream that gives you an opportunity to learn something new about chess while playing against me. Monday edition, which means experimental things. So today I'm going to experiment with the power of knights. I will try to bring my knights to the active positions, maybe even right from the start, who knows. So in general, I will try to play with knights today. Probably constant viewers and followers know that I prefer bishops, but today I will try to actually come up with positions in which knights are also great guys. If you're new to the stream, if you're new to the show, I recommend you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find the short link next to my name, and the phrase support is welcome. It is bit.ly/Mostrovsky. And also you should know that we are playing on leadchess.org. You can go there, find me by nickname Mostrovsky, so the spelling is the same like in the short link, and challenge me for a 5 or maybe 3+2 blitz game. So live chat is very active. I'm happy guys you are here, and let's start playing. There are already some challenges. So during first games, I will need to actually step back a bit because, I'm still playing in this monthly bullet arena, and actually already played a lot of bullet games. This stupid speed actually prevails there, and it's really hard to change the time control, so maybe you will see a lot of stupid mistakes during first game, but I will try my best to avoid these mistakes and blunders. Alright, here we go. So just let me know what is with the stream, with the sound, with the picture. Is everything alright, or maybe there are some issues? Okay. So the first was Archie. As far as I remember, it is a nickname of Artur Navrovsky. So let us accept the challenge, and I'm playing with black pieces. D4, knight f6. So knights out. Okay, knight f3. So here, of course, knight c6 isn't probably a good idea, but let's try it, because, well, that is the experimental Monday. Let's try to do some experiments. Alright, knight c3. So my opponent just doesn't want to come up with the extra space after d5. Alright, so maybe it gives me a chance to play e6 here just to prevent d5. So my knights are still not great. And knight to e5. Very interesting. Very interesting thing. So if I take on e5 and d takes e5, my knight is forced somewhere away. Not sure that there will be a good square for it. So instead, let's play bishop to b4, pinning the knight c3 and fighting for central squares. Looks very ugly. And absolutely not even close to what I usually play, but alright. That is just about this Monday edition, right? So I play unusual openings, I play non-standard positions. So let's see. And Grounding Student has the idea. So give up bishops for Andre's knights today. Alright, so you want to make this show just awful. Alright? I want to play with knights, and you want to just deprive me of knights. That's, well, maybe it's a good practical idea, but okay, we will see. So bishop g5, let's play h6. Probably Artur actually also reading the chat and trying to do this. No. In fact, bishop f6 was the move that I expected to see, but bishop goes to h4. So can I play just like in Nimzo, like something like g5, bishop g3, knight e4, attacking the knight on c3? Doesn't look very good, but at the same time doesn't look very bad. So let's see. What is that? It's 94, attacking the knight on c3. Oh my god. So many weaknesses in black's position. It's potentially very dangerous. But first, white has to protect the knight on c3. Most likely there will be something like queen d3. In which case I will protect my perfect knight on e4. With the help of... I don't even know what will be better after... Oh, what is that? My goodness. Knight takes c3 wins on the spot. Rook b1, just too subtle. I don't understand that. Okay. Looks like it's over. No. If knight takes c6, I just take the queen with check. And that's it. Game over. And if bc3, then bishop c3, forcing queen d2. Bishop takes d2 and game over as well. Arthur, that was really strange. I was attacking the knight 2 times. There was still a defense like queen d3. Maybe not very pleasant move, but still a move. By the way, preparing castle in lawn. So after f5, I guess position is complicated, and it feels like just a better version of Nimto, because the pawn is on c2, which definitely limits white's possibilities there. Okay, now I can take on b1, attacking the queen 2 times again with the bishop, with the knight. So let's take the queen. My light squares are weak. Yep, but I have so great material advantage that probably is a good compensation for weakness of light squares. Alright, I think it's time to resign, because I have extra queen and extra rook here. But no, my opponent keeps playing. Which is probably not very interesting. But okay. So I played around 100 bullet games today. So you can imagine my state of mind now. I'm kind of very nervous, because when you play a bullet game you have to be really fast. So the speed is usually much more important than what is going on the board, in fact. So now I'm just doing this recovery. I want to calm down and come back to the normal rhythm, normal tempo. Yeah. Yeah, queen is a good compensation for a weakness of squares. That's true. That's so true. Okay, let's take this and grab a space with the e4. Knight should go away. Maybe, of course, there is a sacrifice of the knight, but I guess it has to go. So now d5, I think, protecting my good e4 pawn. There should be a possibility for me to activate knight c6 somehow. Can I do something to make this knight a decisive piece or something like that? Don't know. But first I have to save it on the board, I think. So I'll play a6, preventing bishop b5, grabbing my knight. Good idea, very important move. Otherwise I lose my knight and I can't really demonstrate anything what this knight can do. Alright, everything is clear. Everything is clear here. Just rook b1, very bad move. Knight takes c3, and black wins. So queen d3 was the only try here. But even prior to that, I think, when you play d4 and knight to f3 and opponent plays knight c6, I can't see the reason, actually, why not to play d5 here. Just kicking knight back because the knight simply doesn't have better squares. Of course, I can try something like knight b4, but it looks very stupid. So if I play knight b4 after d5, then probably white can even try, no, just c4, protecting the pawn and continuing developing pieces in a natural way. All right, right. Okay, so let's go further. There are a lot of different challenges. I'm really happy. So let's keep Bryce Rogers. So let's go. Knight f3. g6, knight to c3. So against g6 this works perfect, because g6 doesn't create a threat in the center, so I can just develop my knights, right? So now, how to make this knight work? Let's start with h4. And h5 is a threat. Not a great threat, of course, but sort of. So I don't think that white's position is terrible here. I even like my position already, because black kinda weakened his position with the h5. But now it's very hard to do anything better than just occupying center with my pawns, because if I start something like knight d5 with the idea of maneuvering this knight to f4, this looks crappy because black has e5 move. I can of course bring my knight to g5 right now, because sooner or later I will anyway occupy this square. But there is an interesting question, what to do with the center, because if I play knight g5, black of course has something like d5. I can undermine the pawn after that with the e4, and after d4, let's say something like knight d5, maybe knight e2 and knight g3. It looks not very natural, so instead I will try just e4 move, because if I bring my knight to g5, I want probably to continue with the attack against f7, and bishop can be helpful. I mean, this guy can go to c4, something like that. So let's try it. So it will be kind of transposition to Perk, most likely, if black chooses something like d6, let's say. It can be also a strange variation of Sicilian if black plays c5 now. It's kind of dragon, but h5 probably favors white, not black, because it's definitely a weakness. I mean, usually in dragon, black avoids playing h5. In the vast majority of cases, of course, not in each and every line, but yeah. e5. All right, this is very interesting now. So if I play bishop c4, this kind of forces black to develop the knight g8 somewhere, maybe to h6, which is ugly. And white forces because after bishop c4 there is a threat of knight to g5. d to d4 is also an interesting try here, but I want to see where the knight goes first. This knight g8, I mean. And then we will see. Maybe I will play d4 followed by bishop g5. For example, after knight h6, this looks very interesting, just to play d4 and bishop to g5. Against knight f6, although I can just take on e5, I can also try something like d4, followed by e4, e5 later on, just like an idea. So at the moment, I just do something really natural. So we have a very strange position, to be honest, because if we start with the e4, it never happens that black plays something like g6, bishop g7, because white plays something like knight f3 and so forth. But let's imagine if I play e4 in the move number 1, and then after e5 I play kind of knight c3, it is probably possible to play g6, knight f3, bishop g7, h4, h5. So we have kind of transposition to this. But alright. I believe that it probably happened several times in the history, but it's very hard to believe that it is a popular direction. Okay. Whenever someone plays h4 this early, King's Crusher comes to my mind. Yeah, King's Crusher also comes to my mind because, yeah, I've played a lot of games against him today. I won all of them. So yeah, shit happens. Alright, knight e7. Bishop takes f7 comes to my mind. King takes f7, knight g5, king g8. This doesn't give white anything. So let's try to understand what is going on after just straightforward knight g5. Knight g5, castles, most likely. Queen to f3, queen to e8. The only defense, I think, of f7 pawn. And then if I play something like knight b5, there is knight a6, still a defense. So maybe just to play d4, and after e4 to play knight to d5. This also looks interesting, but it usually works fine when the knight is already on c6. Here it doesn't feel like I need it. I can also try something like knight g5, castles, and g4. This can be very sharp. H takes g4, h5. Like, again, very straightforward attack, but there it can be something like d7, d5 counter-attack. Okay, so maybe I can play this just in a positional way, like knight g5, castles, d3, preparing this g4, and then like f4 is also an idea. Interesting. I don't know what will be the best way. What will be the best way? Right, there are a lot of interesting opportunities, I would say. So I will choose d4. Simply. So any tips against King's Crusher? King's Crusher, sorry. As far as I remember, in one of his Banter Blitz sessions, Chess Explained already gave you all the tips. So just try to play solid and avoid positions in which he has the initiative. Something like that. That will be probably the best strategy. I played absolutely the opposite way. Like, I was doing everything to sacrifice something right from the start. But that is my approach. To play bullet games, I usually go crazy, absolutely, when I play bullet. Because there are simply more chances, I mean, to win. When you create concrete tactical threats. c5, wow. That is something really strange, because this weakens d6 badly. Wow. So, again, so many different options. Let's put the bishop on g5. I just keep developing my pieces. And feels like Black already has serious problem with completing his development. Knight e5 is a current threat, but there is queen a5 check, so probably it's not a big deal for Black. Let's just castle first. and then we will see, because if f6, this weakens position even more. So Kramnik student says that Schelling loses regularly to King's Crusher. Wow, I should see how King's Crusher does that. Because I lose to Schelling regularly. So maybe there is a tip from King's Crusher how to beat Schelling Fort on chess 24. Right, a6. Bishop c7 looks like a move. Attacking the queen. And if queen goes to e8, I just play knight d6. Trapping the guy. So too many weaknesses in black's position. Too many weaknesses, my friend. Yeah. So let's have a look at this. This is already an interesting thing. So knight f3, g6 is absolutely playable. After knight c3, I guess that's the most principled reply is d5 again. To try to do something in the center, because if you don't occupy the center, the setup with knight c3 and knight f3 is absolutely justified. So typical thing here is to play something like e4 maybe, in which case, well, d4 is absolutely playable, just grabbing the space and so forth. This thing, okay, I decided to play h4, which I believe not that dangerous, and instead of playing h5, I think it's much better to play knight f6, just to cover this square, and immediate h5 followed by exchange sacrifice, of course, can work well in a bullet game, but in a normal game, in the normal blitz game as well, this is nothing. So knight f6 is much better, just developing the piece. And if I play e4, you just play d6, for example, and you have a perk. So a normal perk with a strange h4 move, which can be used by black, for example. This g4 square becomes an interesting target for a bishop, for a knight later on, and so forth. So just a normal central strategy. But after h5 and e4, well, I already liked my position because now I have g5 square, a very important one. Still, I believe that sticking to perk setup was the best option. I wanted to do something like knight g5 here prior to playing d4, and well, here I think black can even think of playing c5. So an interesting Sicilian arises, and if I play bishop c4, there is e6. So everything is fine. Black is in time to protect all weakened squares here. So white definitely has some play. After that, for example, the help of f4, it's possible to challenge this pawn's e6, g6. I mean, after this, like this. But, well, it's unclear. Of course, it's playable for both sides, I do believe. So, e5, I don't like this. Simply don't like it. Because after bishop c4, I have very pleasant position. A lot of interesting moves. Knight g5 is a threat, just to bring your knight to h6, to force your knight to h6, I mean. And if you play knight e7, right, again, d4, very simple move. Now c5 is a decisive mistake, in my opinion. So knight c6 was still playable, where after I wanted just to play bishop e3, queen d2 castles, and we have sort of Philidor again with already weakened position on the king side. With this g6 h5, so should be preferable for white, but still playable. That's what I mean. So c5 is just awful. Knight b5, so many weaknesses, and there is no chance for black to survive it, I think. So yeah, there is a suggestion to play something like d6, but anyway, just very, very bad position. I just take on d6 with the queen or something like that. I have too many threats. Knight e5, queen d6, simple castling, and then something. Bishop takes e7, followed by knight c7 is also a threat, and so forth. So, thanks for the game. Let's go further. And let's play Atru Boris. d5. All right, knight c3. So that is exactly what I was expecting from you guys. So against this knight f3, something central. Oh, knight f6. Come on. I wanted you to play something like d4. Okay. But knight f6 is also playable, of course. Controlling e4, and now d4 becomes annoying. And what can I do against this d4? Let's again try this e3 move. I don't want to play this d4. Of course, d4 is probably better. Going to play something like Verisov. But I'm not a big fan of that opening. So trying to do something different. All right. Let's play bishop b5. So it's like Nimzo reversed, but with the knight on c3, which is not very cool. And knight to d7, also very good move, in my opinion. On the other hand, there is a lack of control over d4. So now I can try d4 if I want. Because this creates a threat of just taking on c5, maybe. And it will look like a Rogozin reversed. Very strange transpositions. Have no idea. Let's try d4. Let's see. So I can see a good possibility for my knight to jump to e5, but it doesn't necessarily give me anything. So we'll see. Okay, e6 protecting c5. Very solid. Very solid, and I think very good. So my position looks just bad, because there is a threat of like a6, simple move, and then what am I going to do? I definitely don't want to take on d7 at so early stage. I have no idea. Maybe there is something tactical like e4 now. e4, d takes e4, knight jumps to e5. cd4, queen d4. Okay. Let's see. So e4. Then knight to e5 after capture. a6 takes on d7. Knight takes d7. There is simply nothing, absolutely. So e4 followed by knight g5, maybe. Also looks like black will force me to give up my bishop. And that will be awful, because position will be opened. I don't think I will have a proper compensation. So, how to survive this position? Let's play a4, kind of preparing for this a6, because after that my bishop will go back and there will be no b5 at least. This kind of provokes black even to play c4. In which case my bishop goes to e2, and then at some point I will play e4. Okay, bishop d6, castles. I think I have to start with this move. And now I definitely have to play something like e4 at some point. I don't really know at which moment. So immediately or after taking on c5. But if I take on c5, of course, knight takes on c5 and controls e4 square. So maybe if I want to play e4, I have to play this right now. I mean, after black castles, I don't think that it's a good idea for black to start active operations in the center right now, because it may lead to opening of the position and the king, which is uncastled, will be punished. So now there is the question, to play e4 or to play d takes c5. If I take on c5, then knight takes c5, controlling e4, so it will be very hard for me to play e4. If I play e4, on the other hand, there is something like c4 first. My bishop goes to e2 and then takes on e4. But in this case, c4 is hanging at the end of the line, so this could be just a normal thing. But after e4, there is also c takes d4. Knight takes d4, e5, and knight f5, activating the knight. Okay, looks like it is playable. Let's try it. Let us try it, because it is the only active possibility for me. Feels like that. So knight e4, attacking the bishop and the knight. Yeah. Takes e4. And here, it feels like I have to play bishop g5, because if my bishop goes away to d3, there is just cd4, knight e4, and doesn't feel like I have anything there. So yeah, let's try bishop g5. Let us save the knight on the board. And this bishop on e4 is actually very important now, because it stops black's bishop from development. Takes. I believe I have nothing in this position, but let's keep playing. Until that bishop comes to play, I have some chances, I believe. Just occupying the open file. Takes. Have no time, unfortunately. Should have to be faster. Let's occupy the 7th rank. Prevented bishop b7 and bishop d7, by the way. But that is definitely not what I wanted to achieve in this position, of course, but... Oh! My opponent gives me extra time. That's amazing. Very generous. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Thank you very much. It's really generous. And what is going on with black's time here? Let's also give some. So, isolated pawn. We don't have pawns on other side of the board, so everything is more or less concentrated on the king side. Bishop is still out of play. Bishop c8. That's probably the main feature of this position. So what to do here? What to do? Bishop h7 is probably nothing. Okay. So let's put the queen on e3. Just going away from the d file. And maybe intending to come up with sort of regrouping. Okay, just take the bishop. Well, I was lucky. Very lucky in this game. And I achieved absolutely nothing. My knight is still on f3. Doesn't take part in the game. Now, of course, I can bring it to e5. Well. Knight decides, but that is only because black actually blundered the bishop. Okay. So probably I had some chances when black gave me a chance to play with this great bishop on e4, but black also played very nice game. So this rook b8 followed by b5 quickly, something like that. So that was great. Just let us see what happened here. So after a4, by the way, there was, in my opinion, a simple way to deal with this bishop. Something like c4 was really interesting, just to close this way back from my bishop, then to play something like a6 and to force my bishop to take on d7, in which case I don't think I can play b3, because if I play b3 there's bishop b4, very annoying, followed by queen a5 and so forth. So I don't like this position at all. So if I don't play b3, then the next move will be something like a6, bishop d7, in which case, okay, I will have this knight on e5, but my bishop on c1 remains very stupid, so I think black is at least not worse, but in my opinion it's just very pleasant position to play. But okay, after a6, bishop d3, it was also possible to play c4 if black wanted. So I think it was very interesting thing to do. So after bishop goes away, for example, bishop b4, fighting for this e4 square and preventing white from playing e4, and then at some point just rook b8 and b5. So just grabbing as much space as possible. Alright, bishop d6 castle, still c4 here, but well, now it is not that clear already, because after bishop e2 I have a counterplay after e4. So castles e4. For example, here, if c4, then bishop e2, let's say d takes c4, knight goes to g5, and I regain this pawn. Next move, c4 is also hanging, so, well, maybe white doesn't have a lot in this position, but, well, black has some vulnerabilities here. So, what else? If knight takes c4, knight takes c4, d takes c4, knight g5 also. Attacking this, black can't play f5, as we can see e6 is hanging. So knight f6 is the only way to protect this pawn if black wants to protect this pawn, in which case I can take on c4, but here comes the tactical punishment for all this bullshit. So we can see h2, we can see the bishop on c4, so black has a choice between bishop takes h2 followed by queen c7, or maybe queen c7 just right now, attacking the bishop and pawn on h2. And that is probably the way how black could have played in this position. So just knight takes c4, knight takes c4, d takes c4, and after knight g5, knight f6. Come on. c4 pawn is possible to take, but black regains this pawn, which means that currently black is a pawn up, which is a very good position and a good chance to win. So what else is possible here? After c4, I can play e5 maybe, but then cd3, come on. White has absolutely nothing except for problems, I think. So after ed6, dc2, queen c2, this pawn doesn't look like very healthy. So black has a chance to attack it immediately after queen b6, and if bishop f4, I guess something straightforward should work, like knight e8 followed by knight takes d6, or maybe even just knight h5, kicking this bishop away, and then, well, at some point this pawn will be just a problem. Maybe even not queen b6, I don't know, knight b6 followed by simple development of the bishop is also natural thing. Moreover, after knight b6 there is a threat of knight c4 attacking this pawn. Yeah, probably knight b6 is much better than queen b6. In this case, after bishop f4, you don't have to play this ugly moves like knight h5. You can simply play knight c4, then takes d6, and so forth. So yeah, it felt like white's approach, white's setup was really ugly. And no surprises that after this and c4, well, black simply has a way. I mean, knight takes c4, takes, and then knight f6. Looks good. That's my opinion. All right. Let's go further. Let's go further. The next is Ridix. Let's play Ridix. Very tough opponent. Very tough opponent. The last game I lost, by the way, to Ridix. So I have to be really careful. All right. Let's go. So e4. Okay. Great opportunity to play knight f6. So it's not knight f6 followed by knight c6, but it is also experimenting with the knight, right? So Alekhine defense. Okay, knight to f3. There are so many different moves. Let's play something. Let's play something like c6. And here, as far as I remember, knight goes to c7. So it's very strange, of course, but it can be interesting to try. So bishop g4, but ed6, leaving me without a chance to take on e5 at some point and to have this pawn as an object of attack. To take with the pawn is not very good. I think I have to take with the queen here to create further threats to pawn d4. Now my knight can join the attack of the pawn d4 from e6, but I have to solve the problem of the development somehow as well. So can I play g6 followed by bishop g7 here? That is an interesting question. So we have a typical pawn structure for several openings, like Scandinavian defense, Caro-Kann, and Alekhine. That is a complex of openings that, well, leads to more or less same pawn structure. So white has extra central pawn, but this pawn is a vulnerability at the same time. So, of course it's logical to put the bishop on g7 here. Let's try to do that. h3. And I have no choice, I have to take. When the pawn is on g6, there is no bishop f5 or bishop h5. And now bishop to g7, right? Just attacking pawn d4. Looks quite logical. So now castles, rook d8, right? This looks interesting. There is also queen b4 possibility now, just to attack c4 and b2, but then queen b3, and I don't think I have a lot there. No, I don't fight for the advantage. I realize that my opponent has pair of bishops, so I have to be really careful. But queen b4 is definitely just a step away from my plan. I want to play against d4. That's the idea. So I'll castle. So rook to d8 now, or knight to e6. So potentially there is knight e4 threat. So I think I have to start with rook d8 attacking d4. And if knight e4, then queen goes to b4. Knight b8 is still out of play. Still have to think of what to do with that guy. So now queen b4, is it possible or not? Let's see. Queen b4, attacking c4, which is annoying. I guess it's okay to try this. So now my rook pins the d4 pawn. And there is a possibility to play e5 now if I want. Let's see. So e5 looks interesting, but at the same time quite dangerous because I'm not developed. Is it really a move? Or maybe I should just play knight to e6 here attacking this d4. Feels like knight e6 is safer option. Yeah, let's play knight e6. I move with the piece. I move with the knight. Attacking the pawn d4. Nice. d5. Alright, sacrifice in the exchange. Something that I probably underestimated. Okay, let's take. It looks very dangerous to take the rook on a1, in fact. So what is the alternative way? Alternative way is just knight to d4. Central move with the knight. Feels like bishop a1 was also playable, but having only a few seconds on the clock, it was really risky. To give my opponent this pair of bishops, especially this guy on e3, was really, really dangerous potentially. So all dark squares on the king side are weak. No, don't like playing these positions. So now I can take this one. Complete the development. My knight now is ready to occupy f6 or e5 squares, it depends. I have only 48 seconds, that's crap. But I like my position. I think I solved my opening problems and d5 looks like a weakness, not like a great power. My queen is somewhat misplaced at the moment, but who knows? This position is very active for a queen and it can't be really trapped, I think. So let's play on like this. Grabbing material. It's important to be just in time to protect my weaknesses. Right, let's start with this move. Want to kick this knight away. And all the pieces are in the game now, which is cool. Oh, bishop takes a7. Is it really possible to play like that? I'm not quite sure. Isn't it risky? Maybe it's just okay. I would have never ever played the move like that, but, well, maybe my opponent has something in mind. I don't know. So, queen to e1, complete domination now. Queen h1, checkmate, threatens. Right. Is there a defense? I don't think so. Should be just lost for white now. If queen g2, then bishop e5. Cruel. Cruel attack. Yeah, Ridix, that was not the best game of yours. So let's see. Let's see what happened here. So e4, knight f6, e5, knight e5. This is one of possible ways of playing Alekhine defense. c4, knight to c7. I don't know what is the best way of playing this for white, but I think that if you have a chance to prevent bishop g4, it's better to do that. So, for example, after c4, knight c7, looks very natural just to start with the h3 to prevent any sort of problems with d4 and e5 squares, which you definitely have after bishop goes to g4. In this case, if I take on e5, you just take with the knight and you have this great knight on e5. I like it. So if I don't take, well, what to do? Not that clear. So maybe g6, bishop g7, but you also continue development the natural way, like knight c3, maybe even bishop f4, protecting this e5. So your point here is just to bring the knight to e5 or any other piece, so to use it as an outpost and to prevent black's activity against your center. So h3 is a prophylaxis against this bishop g4. Knight c3 could be also a move, but it kind of justifies my play. So now I have a clear plan of just exerting pressure on your center. For example, if you play h3 here, there's a typical thing. I just take here, take here, takes here, and now e5 becomes also not that pleasant to protect. For example, I just play knight d7 attacking it. If you play bishop f4, I play knight e6 attacking the bishop. Then my queen goes somewhere to a5 or maybe c7. I just play g6, bishop g7. And all of a sudden, all my pieces are placed perfectly just to attack this vulnerable e5 pawn. That's the point of black's strategy here. So definitely h3 makes sense. That's what I mean. So you took on d6. That was good, in my opinion. Queen took d6. Now bishop to e2, g6. And in this case, I don't think that h3 makes sense because if I played g6, right, intending to bring my bishop to g7, most likely I will take on f3 anyway, sooner or later. So that's my plan, that's my idea. So instead of actually forcing me to make a move that I anyway planned, it was possible to spend the time on something useful, like bishop e3 move, just protecting d4 additionally. And if I play, for example, bishop g7, you have an interesting plan. So you can play queen b3 attacking b7. And if I play something like b6, let's say, protecting this pawn, probably not the best move, but still a move. You can even think of castling here. That was an interesting try. That was an interesting option. And position is far from being clear, but I would prefer white here. So white at least has very simple plan, very simple idea of activating his pieces, very good control over central squares here. It's not on c7, it's not clear where to go, because if it goes to e6, there is d5, very annoying. And there is a threat of playing h3 later on, if I don't take on f3, or maybe even just waiting until I take on f3, because I don't have useful moves here, except for taking on f3 at some point and just trying to attack d4. And white has different ways to improve his pieces, so to bring the king to a1, for example, to avoid any sort of checks, and then to come up with a d4, d5 at some point, maybe even c4, c5. That is also a plan, to bring the bishop to c4. So there are plenty of different things possible. So h3 is not very logical. I just take here, go bishop g7 with the tempo, and after castling, I think I have no problem. So I already have very clear plan, just to bring the rook to d8, then to play something like knight e6 and so forth. And the rest was clear, right? So I just played queen here, knight to e6, d5 was a good resource. So here I didn't want to take on a1, giving you this great compensation. So I can't take on d5 because of knight f6. So I have to go with the knight somewhere. You control d4, f4, so c5 is also controlled. So it's not even clear where to go, and if my knight goes to g7, well, there is something brutal like d6, just grab an f6 square and so forth, all right? So no chance for me to come up with a decent position. So white definitely has a great initiative, and maybe I have the possibility to save it with the help of series of very accurate moves, but doesn't feel like a good idea for me to play. That's why I played knight d4. whereafter I already had very pleasant position in my opinion. So I just control a lot, right? So knight d7, as I said during the game, this pawn on d5 feels like a weakness rather than a power. But still, I think knight g5 was a mistake. So you just gave me a pawn for nothing. Instead, you should have played something like rook d1, just a decent move, protecting it additionally, and there is still some play, I guess. So yeah, it's probably balanced position. So I have a play against d5 pawn, but you also have some threats. Maybe you want to play even d6 next move. So I have to be really careful here, I guess. But knight e5 may be potentially annoying, attacking the queen, because the knight on e4 lacks the defense, so you have to play queen f4, which may give me some opportunities. Maybe it's okay, after all. I don't know, h6 preparing g5 is an interesting idea. Maybe something like, no, f5 can't be good. I can't really deflect your queen here. Yeah, after knight e5, queen f4, you're fine. So that is my recommendation, because this position is already quite good. I mean, queen g3, rook takes d5, rook c7. Look, I just have a great concentration of my pieces, controlling a lot, great centralization, and bishop a7 was probably playable, but even no, if I play queen a5, there is rook takes b7. So yeah, there is no this sort of tactics. But it feels like I have a lot of different possibilities. So rook d1 was great, but rook d1 wasn't forced. So I think you should have played something like rook c1 here. And no, this leads to something like this. Now queen a3, attacking the rook and the bishop. Bishop goes back to e3. No, I mean, this is playable. I mean, I can't take on a2 at the moment because my knight is hanging, and if I take on f3, queen a2, there is queen b7, and somehow white is holding. So yeah, maybe rook c1 was the last chance. Maybe I have something, maybe not. I'm not sure. Probably I can try something like this, and knight d3 now, attacking the rook, but there is also some counterplay after queen c7. So position remains unclear. Alright, so maybe rook d8 wasn't that great. Maybe I should have protected my a7 pawn prior to playing rook to d8. So maybe I should have played something like a5, maybe a6, and only then rook to d8, because here I have just extra pawn, right? Okay, thanks for the game. Let's play. Oh, h6, knight f6. I just yeah, blundered some tactics there in the line, like knight e5, queen f4, h6. That was my suggestion, but knight f6. That's clear. Thanks for this comment. Yeah, so queen f4 is just very good here. All right, so rook d1. Yeah, rook d1 looked very nice. So here, I don't know, maybe something like queen a5 should be played, just targeting d5 pawn and a2 at the same time. Maybe just rook to c8, something like this. Yeah. So rook d1 looks nice. Okay, let's go further. Wow, there are so many challenges. Okay, I will start with whom? Let's play Chronic Student, right? He was like the second challenger today. So e4. Okay, let's do the same. Now let's go back. So Magnus played this once. It doesn't mean this is a good idea. It only means that Magnus is a good player. So he won the game after knight f6, knight g8. Now it looks like Scandinavian, right? Scandinavian Karakan, so same pawn structure, I mean. Okay, now I want to try this g6, bishop g7 approach again. bishop e3. All right, bishop g7. Bishop e2. Okay, knight remains on g1, which means that white can go wild, even like h4, g4 at some point. So I was considering something like knight h6 here to bring my knight to f5 to attack d4. But if I play knight to h6, there is exactly g4 possibility, which kind of stops me from playing knight h6. It is just too much, in my opinion. On the other hand, it is very tempting, like, to bring the knight to f5. But okay, I'll start with the normal move, knight f6. Well, I don't start with this because my knight already was there on the move number 1, which is interesting. And now, so knight is going to occupy f3 so that my bishop doesn't have the access to g4 square. What can I do? How to use the absence of the knight on f3? Maybe just to play e5 here. Can it be possible? Just to play e5. e5, d5, queen e5, knight f3. No, it looks awful. So I just give my opponent a lot of tempi. A lot of tempi. So okay, I will castle. And now, so the knight is going to occupy e5 sooner or later. In one of the lines of Alekhine defense, there is a typical idea to bring the bishop to f5 and then to play knight to e4, kind of. Simplifying the situation and exchanging this knight c3, also unleashing the bishop g7 and so forth, but I don't remember if it is playable with the pawn on g6. I think we can try it. Let's try it. Bishop f5. Queen b3. Attacking b7 pawn. I guess I can leave it hanging if I want. Just for now. Very interesting position. Very, very interesting position. So let's try something aggressive, like knight e4. Because I believe if queen takes b7, I can just develop my knight at d7, creating sort of rook b8. And there could be very good initiative along the b file. Let us see. Okay. Andre, what's your next tournament? The question from Mick. Hard to say. Hard to say. Definitely there will be a weekend of Bundesliga. And then, I don't know, maybe Heusenstamm. But by the end of the year, we'll definitely take part in Rilton Cup in Stockholm. But I'm not sure if I will play tournaments, before that. So this Heusenstamm is, I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no. There are options. Okay, what's going on here? If I take on c3, to start with. Is there a compensation? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there is a compensation at all. But let's play. So 97. C5, okay. So, where to move my queen? My goodness. I definitely missed something here, I guess. Definitely forgot about the time to start with. Oh my god, position is very complicated. And something like this is interesting. Yeah, but I have no time. I will lose this on time. That's for sure. Yeah, but an interesting fight, right? If d5, bishop takes c3, check, and rook on a1 is hanging. That is what my opponent probably missed. Probably, oh, I lost my knight here. Shit. Happens. It's lost now. Or maybe not. Now I go to c4. Rook a2 was trapping the knight. Rook a2 was trapping the knight. But it's lost on time anyway. There is no single chance to survive it. There is no single chance to survive it. Oh, I got some extra time. Very generous. All right. Thank you so much. Let's keep playing that. Let's keep playing that. I think after this I have some tiny chances, maybe, for something. For some counterplay. So there is pawn a5 as an object of attack. There's pawn on g2, which is potentially hanging. Okay, I don't know. Bishop e6 was better, of course, than what I did. But okay, bishops are bishops, so I know that I wanted to play with knights. But sometimes you simply have no chance to play with knights because your opponent simply exchanges those pieces. That's what I mean. Okay, activation. Does it help me somehow? Not really. Not really. But I have slightly better bishop. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. Oops. Crap. What happened? I won on time. All right. Sorry for this. Sorry for this. Of course, there was a great fight. I missed something and you missed something for sure. So somewhere here it was absolutely winning when I took on b2. Just rook a2 and goodbye. So game over. My knight is just trapped. So knight h4 was a terrible mistake. After that I just play bishop e6, and okay, my knight escapes. That's a problem with this knight h4 move. So just rook a2, trapping it immediately. After queen b3, I think that this knight e4 was a mistake, serious one. So here, if I wanted actually to sacrifice the pawn on b7, I should have played something like knight d7 immediately, or maybe knight a6, creating a threat of knight b4. So I don't think black is at risk after queen b7 because of knight b4 with the threat of knight c2. This looks like a position with a counterplay. Also knight d7 was a move here, trying to trying to come up with a very good play after this, very active play. So this looks also like a normal position for black. But after knight d7, I was worrying about my bishop f5 a bit. So something like g4 looked slightly annoying because I'm not sure if I can save my bishop on the board after that. So if I play bishop e4, there is g5. Bishop f3, knight goes somewhere, and well, this is awful. So maybe bishop e6 should be played here. And again, I was worrying that probably I'm just missing something after g5 followed by knight e4, something like that. So it looks, well, it's still playable. I mean, knight e4, queen c7. So here, as we may notice, well, white achieved nothing really. So just some space, but there are a lot of new weaknesses that I can use with my pieces. This bishop on e6 is also not that entirely stupid, so I have this b7, b5 counterplay, and so on. So not clear position. And maybe that was the best chance for me, just to play knight e7. Knight e4 was awful, so this queen takes b7 was correct. And here, in fact, I wanted to take on c3 first, because I had a feeling that c5 is coming, and actually could be potentially very annoying. But I didn't see anything after knight c3, bc3. I believe that white has to do this, because after queen takes a8, I guess black has sufficient initiative. Maybe it's just an overestimation of the position, but there definitely should be something after, let's say, queen b4. That is a good move, because king is still pinned to e2. I have a threat of like something like check and then knight c7 at some point, trapping the queen, like in the famous game of Alexander Alekhine, sorry. As far as I remember, yeah, there was a sacrifice of the queen, of the rook on a8. Queen was on a8, and the knight through d5 went to c7. So queen b2 is my main threat now, and if bc3, then queen takes c3, check, and I take the rook, I guess. Something like this. But after knight takes c3, I think bc3 is a move. And what to do here, I'm not sure. Because, of course I can play knight e7 in this situation. But still c5 is annoying. Still c5, and I don't know. My queen is just very badly placed, like under attack everywhere. So right, queen b7, I just played knight d7 immediately, c5, and here I made a mistake. So it says that I should have played rook b8, queen a8, and queen c7. Wow, that is just something. I mean, yeah, great. Look at this. So rook b8, attacking the queen. If cd6, I just take on b7, and that is unclear position, so I have some objects of attack. And if queen goes to a6, I just go to c7. Again, it's unclear because I have some threats along the b file. And if queen takes on a8, I just play queen c7 calmly. That is nice. Trapping the queen. I mean, white can, of course, capture the rook, and there will be two rooks against the queen, but we have the board full of pieces, and it's very hard to evaluate this position. Yeah, interesting option, but of course I didn't see this. with only seconds on my clock. So I played queen e6 and queen b3. Yeah, I felt like there should be something like g4. Yeah, I was afraid of this g4, by the way. Yeah, computer just grabs everything, and computer doesn't believe in this bullshit like knight c5, gf5, queen f5. All right, just queen c7, consolidating, just bringing the queen to f4 and so forth. Very interesting, because after queen b3, okay, I think that was not a bad idea, right? Knight takes c5, b4, but here I made a mistake, so I played knight d3. That was very, very bad move, of course. After knight e4, I could have been more or less fine. So definitely white is better because of the better pawn structure. We can notice this awful pawns on a7 and c6. That is still playable, I think. So after all this crap that was happening on a few moves ago, this position looks like a dream position, right? But I played knight d3, and yes, after king d2 and knight b2, rook a2 just trapped the knight immediately, and it's over. All right, yeah. Okay, so let's play one more. Who's here? So guys, I didn't play before. Let's see. Zargisan from Armenia. Let's play. Okay, let's go for it. Knight f3. Is there any relation between rating here and elo? What do you mean? What do you mean, my friend? There is no relation, I think. So blitz ratings are different. Absolutely. So in the real life, I'm 2454 points. Elo, so my real blitz rating, I mean in real tournaments, is something like 2478 or something like that. But my best blitz rating here in League Chess is like 2740. You can see the history. So I was top 3, top 2, something like that at some point. So I don't think that there is a relation between blitz ratings and real elo. All right, so that is the classical thing of this knight f3, knight c3. So now the knight gets through e2 to g3, something like this is actually the plan usually. So let's stop the pawn h5. h4, stopping the pawn on h5. Bishop g4, but well, I also have a possibility to pin the knight with the bishop b5. h5 was very interesting. Maybe I will regret that I played this h4, maybe no. But e6, alright, so this justifies my bishop b5. I will definitely capture that knight, damaging the pawn structure. And now I have to fix this pawn c5 and c6 somehow. Queen e2 maybe, with the idea of queen a6. Now let's try it. So c4 is now my desired strong point to occupy with the knight, but it's not that simple because my knight is pinned, unfortunately. But okay, I still can do something, I think. Queen a6 now looks interesting, but unfortunately I can't support my queen there, so queen b6 will just kick my queen away. Alright. And black has an interesting plan of just playing knight g6, knight e5, or knight g6 and knight f4 then. So maybe it makes sense for me to play something like, I don't know, even knight f1 and knight h2 to get rid of this bishop g4, because it is really annoying. So let's try it. Oh, Kramnik student also suggested this. Something like this in chat. d3. Yeah, that's why maybe I should have played d3 first. If I take cd3, I think after knight g6 I'll be just busted. So it feels very dangerous. Can be also playable after queen e3, but I don't like the position. So maybe queen takes d3 instead. So queen d3, cd3, like bishop takes f3, g takes f3, knight goes to g6. My goodness, it looks so bad. But it should be somehow playable. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm doing it. It's so bad. But okay, let's try to protect this position. Yeah, maybe you're right, my friend. So there is a relation. So you said that 2500s here relates to 2300s. Maybe it even relates to 2100s or maybe 2000s in some games. So like here I feel like I'm just a patzer. Look at this shit. F2, F3, D2, D3. Yeah. So now let's see what to do here. The knight can go to f4. The knight can also go to e5. I don't know what is the main threat. It's not clear. So I definitely have to give the material back. So maybe just to play d4 and d3 here. Then to bring my king to e2. And that will be more or less fine, I guess. Yeah, okay, let's play d4. Let's play d4. Alright, so this knight on f1 is bad at the moment. But I still believe I will be able to activate it at some point. My opponent plays very good chess. So now black wants to play bishop f4. Oh my god, my god. But maybe it's not that dangerous. I mean, I can play knight d2 now. And then knight to c4. But if I play knight e2, there is knight f4, of course, grabbing my pawn. If I start with king e2, then, well, I can't really play knight e2. There is a problem with the coordination now. There is a problem with the coordination. So I can try knight g3, knight e2, of course, but I have no time. I have no time, so let's try to do something quickly. So at least I have an idea of playing knight e2, like controlling important squares. I could have also played bishop f4 and king d2, that was probably better than this knight e2 move, because after bishop c1 I have to take with the knight not to lose the material. Alright, so now I kinda lost some tempi, but there is some counterplay now. So this knight on f4 is great, but I don't think that black has a clear plan now. So I definitely have. I mean, I just will attack all these guys one by one. So rook a5. That looks good. Looks good. Let's bring the rook here. d4 is under attack. I could have captured h5. Yeah, that was much better. But okay, the knight actually played its role. But now it's important not to lose the game because of that pawn. So I have to be extremely careful. Okay. I won't lose the game because of that pawn, but I will probably lose the game because of the time trouble. Alright. Or maybe there will be a checkmate. Maybe not. Yes. Here's the checkmate. Alright. Whew. That was a very, very tough game. Very tough game. So let's have a look at this. How this crap happened to me. So knight to f3, d5, knight to c3, c5, e4, d4, knight e2. That is okay. Knight c6, knight g3, h5. So here probably this h4 isn't a move. So maybe bishop b5 should be played here to start with. But then black is absolutely fine after h4. I have a feeling that this solves black's main problems. And actually creates some serious problems in white's camp after h3, just weakening all my light squares. And so forth. So after h4, I definitely have to do something with this knight, and probably h4 is kind of forced here. But very good idea, by the way, very natural one. Now bishop g4, really cool. Bishop b5, and black could have improved his play seriously by just protecting the knight c6, avoiding this weakened pawn structure. Something simple, I mean, like queen c7, let's say, protecting the knight, and if I take there, queen takes. That's the point. So this spin will be really annoying for a long, long time. So I probably have to do something like, I don't know, even, because if I play d3, there is queen a5 check. This trick. If I take on c6, okay, queen takes c6. If I play knight e5, right, bishop takes d1, knight takes c6, and simply bishop takes c2, I think. Yeah, I'm forced to go somewhere to e5, where after, well, there could be some tricks, but I think simple bishop a4 with the extra pawn, and everything is just fine. Yeah. So this doesn't work, and if this doesn't work, then black will just go back to c7, and we'll have pair of bishops and more space, and this h4 potentially. No, this h4 is probably not an object of attack, not a target, but first of all, white has to think of how to solve this problem. So maybe d3, followed by this maneuver like knight f1, knight h2, but this looks too slow, and black should be at least not worse here. At very least. I do believe black is just better here. So very pity that black actually gave me a chance to damage these pawns. So I took here. And now queen e2 was stupid to start with. So it was necessary to play just d3 here. And then this knight goes to f1, and then it depends. So maybe to h2, maybe to d2. So it's not that clear. Okay. But in any case, I mean, this c6 and c5 pawns are long-term weaknesses. And, well, once I solve the problem of coordination of my pieces, the knight will be much more important than opponent's bishop. Ideal scenario is to play with the knight against this guy, f8, for example, because it is the worst piece in black's camp, for sure. So, you know, d3 should have been played. So queen e2 is stupid. Knight e7, okay. Just played knight f1 again. d3 was much more promising. So just preventing d3, and if knight goes to g6, creating a threat of this knight e5. It's not even a threat, by the way, because, well, if there is an exchange on f3, okay, I just take with the pawn, and then my pawns can move. But, well, if I want to prevent all these complications, just play knight f1, and if knight goes to e5, I'll just play knight to h2. Now I want to just grab the bishop, and if there is an exchange on f3, okay, maybe I don't have the knight anymore, if I take recapture with another knight, but still my pawn structure is better. But I can probably save the knight if I want, or maybe not. See, bishop takes f3. I think I can't take with the pawn because my h4 is hanging. Yeah, so I have to take with the knight. And after that, well, my bishop is potentially better. And this pawn structure is ugly. So it's playable, of course, but white is definitely enjoying his setup, in my opinion. All right. So. Thanks a lot for being with me. Unfortunately, I already have to go. We will continue during this week. Probably there will be some additional streams, like maybe bullet streams after all. So I will be playing some bullet tournaments. I anyway play some bullet tournaments, so why not to stream them at the same time, right? Maybe you will learn also something even from bullet games. And yeah, definitely we will continue next Sunday and Monday with our traditional editions of Learn from Chess Blitz. Like on Sunday there will be just a normal positional chess, and next Monday there will be again something like this. So something experimental, unusual positions, unusual openings, and so forth. So thanks a lot for your kind support, for attending my shows, for chatting here actively, and also sharing the stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and so forth. This is really appreciated. Yeah, many thanks. I really like and really feel your support. That is really cool. Have a nice week and see you very soon. Just do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my Twitter feed to be notified about the upcoming shows. Bye bye. Take care.